my god, guys. Apparently second gen did it better.
땡땡 코코트.
Hi, welcome. So in today's video, we are going to be talking about the performances for the MBC award shows. I don't remember what it's called. To be quite honest with you, they all have like Kayo in them. So like Kayo Taechan, Kayo this. I don't remember. I'm sorry. So much for being a seasoned Koreaboo. That being said, we are going to be talking about my honest thoughts. So if that offends you, keep on watching because it's gonna get juicy. I don't fuck with disclaimers anymore because, fun fact, they don't work. Also, I haven't been canceled in a while, so I feel like no one cares. I feel like I'm slowly on the road to irrelevancy, and that's fine. I had my time. I shined. It was iconic. I'm ready to go down in flames. I was actually really pleased with like the selection of performances. There was like a lot of collabs, there was a lot of covers. So let's get into that. Actually, I'm gonna stop you right there to remind you to subscribe to this channel and click that bell to be notified. And if you'd like to help the algorithm, then comment on this video or share it with friends you don't have. Or if that's too much to ask, there's literally nothing stopping you from picking another video after this one. I say this time and time again, there are a lot of really just be careful out there, okay? Also, here's hoping we don't get a copyright claim by MBC. You never know. So let's start with Twice. I'm gonna start off by saying that their outfits were really incredibly cute. There was a lot going on, but it never really felt obnoxious. Their Feel Special outfits were actually terrible though. And the whole like, black and white with a pop of color, to me, was very triggering. It was like unreality, and then the unreality just was very, I didn't like it. So when it went back to full color, I felt a lot better. Felt like Jihyo really was so bright in her performance, and I felt the most from her. However, this is going to be a trend for a lot of the performances that I am about to talk about, and that is the lack of live vocals. Again, a third gen issue that I don't like. And when I talk about this, a lot of people are like, you must be new to K-pop. And I'm like, I'm K-pop's grandmother. Sit the fuck down. Seriously though, if you haven't had a chance to look at second gen performances, I encourage you to do so. Okay, boomer, let's move on. My disappointment in the lack of live vocals is pretty consistent. There are a few idols that I could actually hear, and I was very excited about that. And this wasn't the case for Twice, which was a bit surprising to me because I can usually hear Nayeon and Jihyo's voices a little bit at least. They tend to overpower the backup vocals just a little bit to a point where I can kind of hear them. But for these performances, I couldn't hear them at all. And this was certainly a theme that was brought into Jihyo and Momo's performance with Taemin. And this, this is, ooh. Buckle up, kids. Grab some popcorn. I have a lot to say about this performance, about what exactly ruined this performance for me. Let's talk about Goodbye, which is a collab again with Momo, Jihyo, and Taemin, who was my bias in 2010, but we don't need to go down that dark rabbit hole right now. First off, the red was stunning. I cannot accentuate this enough. It was absolutely stunning. Their outfits were so beautiful, and as well, their body movements just evoked so much emotion. Don't get me wrong, this performance was absolutely amazing for the most part. We had this duet at the beginning. It was absolutely breathtaking. And then Taemin came out and, he he had this piece of fabric over his mouth and he started singing. And it didn't sound like he had a piece of fabric over his mouth. I'm just saying, I'm not accusing anyone of anything. But this is just proof that, the third gen K-pop standards is being applied to our fave second gen artists, and it's a tragedy. But I digress. His movements were so beautiful, and then all of them together, it was just so majestic, and I appreciated this performance so much. But what really threw everything off to me was the fact that we weren't actually hearing them sing. It was clear as day their voices did not match the movements they were doing, and it just didn't feel real to me. So no matter how great the actual performance is, sorry, I could hear my washing machine so loudly, and it's like all the way downstairs. It's like better sound quality than MBC. To me, just, the performance value of it all was watered down by the fact that there was a clear disconnect between what I was hearing and what I was seeing. Because what I was hearing was perfect vocals, but what I was seeing was like raw movement, and it just didn't match. But that's the thing, this performance really didn't need vocals at all. They could have just played the song and done their dancing, and it would have been equally amazing. Or they could have just sang live and just showed that true rawness, and it would have connected with audiences that much more. So for example, an artist that I really admire is Halsey, particularly her live performances, because she puts on a whole ass show and you can hear the movement in her voice. You can hear, the breath. You can hear the struggle, shall we say. And, in hearing all of these aspects, you're assured that her performance is real, that it's coming from her heart, that, she's literally putting her all into it, and it's all raw and authentic. And that's something that I really appreciate. I decided to use a non-21 example because I've decided that I'm just unpredictable like that. So on that note, we are going to move on to Hyuna and Dawn's performance together, which was so cute. I read somewhere someone saying like, we need more K-pop couples. And I definitely agree. It would definitely help the Delulus cope. I know 12-year-old Koreaboo me could have benefited from seeing more K-pop couples. This ties back into the Taemin incident of 2010. Anyways, so their performance was kind of more or less on the same wavelength, except they just weren't singing. They just omitted the singing. They didn't even try to pretend they were singing. They didn't even have mics. They relied solely on their stage presence, and it was the best thing they ever could have done. The performance was great, and they didn't need voices to make an impact. So that's what I mean. You don't need to be like a triple threat. You don't need all of these aspects together to make something amazing. Sometimes simple is better, and their performance was very simple yet still blew my mind. I just love them so much. I follow them both on Instagram. I didn't really like Dawn's Money. It's not my favorite song in the world, not really my cup of tea. But I did want to see, he seems a bit apathetic to me, which is interesting. So I wanted to see what kind of dynamic he had in a group. So I decided to look up Pentagon, and I saw their song Shine, and I fell in love with it. I fell in love with his voice in Shine because I felt like the dichotomy of his rough around the edges voice with, paired with, the beautiful, stunning voices of the other members made such an interesting song. And I understand why that song blew up. It's amazing. I'm so sad that I only discovered it now. But I wanted to share that information with you that I really like Shine by Pentagon. But yeah, Money wasn't really my cup of tea, but I do admit I love his style. K-Pop Shake and I were talking about this the other day, that his style really reminds us of G-Dragon. It's just very, I don't want to use the word eccentric. What's the word? High fashion and odd. And I really love that. I love that. I love the fit of his clothing. I love that it's outside of the box. I love it so much. So thumbs up for that. Now we're going to talk about the Diva stage with ITZY and (G)I-DLE. I don't want to be too much of a downer because I did like this performance. It was really cute. Diva is the female version of a hustler. It was really cute. I loved it. I enjoyed it. But I do want to point out again the mic issues. And you know what? We're going to put Lion into this category as well because I'm going to say the exact same thing. Soyeon is one of the very few third-gen female artists that overpowers her own backup track. And that's what I love about her, the fact that I'm able to connect with her voice. Because as I've mentioned before, in previous videos probably, I don't think I mentioned it yet, when I watch a performance, I really connect with the artist through their voice, through the rawness of their voices. So if I don't hear a raw voice, I feel like this disconnect. So I do feel a connection with her because I can hear her. However, if she's not doing a solo piece, it does create this imbalance that I've talked of time and time again. So you'll have one member just kind of singing and there's this disconnect, but then she comes on and you hear her and she's so powerful and it's oh my goodness, where did that come from? So what I would really appreciate from everyone is if we could just hear a little bit of their voices. Listen, I understand that third gen choreography is so intense, and I understand that it's not always possible to, expect second gen vocals in a third gen choreography. I totally get that. The least that I would expect is just to kind of hear their voices a little bit, right? Because there's lip singing, then there's recording the live track and then playing that over them dancing, but they're not actually singing it live. And then there's like the backup track where you can hear the backup track, but you can also hear them a little bit. So the backup track offers like a little bit of support. I, prefer that. Obviously, I would love to hear them all singing like super raw, blah, blah, blah. I understand that that's not super realistic given the dynamics of third gen K-pop. Let's talk 2 seconds about ATEEZ, because where have they been? They performed at Mama. I feel like they're best friends with Mnet, which is a good thing. I really appreciated their Mama performance and it blew me away. I didn't talk about it too much then, but let's talk a little bit about it right now. Jungho's voice was so beautiful. That's really what attracted me to ATEEZ. Like, that's what drew me into ATEEZ, was his part in Goodbye Baby. So I personally would have loved to see them perform again at different award shows, but unfortunately that doesn't seem to be the case. Jungho really gives me second gen vibes, and he's one of the very few vocalists, because I mentioned before, in terms of rap, I find it's a lot more common to overpower your backup vocals, but in terms of vocalists, I find it so much more rare, and he sings so loud. It looks so effortless to him, and it feels like it just comes from his heart, like straight from his heart. And I'm not trained vocally or anything, but I feel like he's very technically good at singing, but he still maintains like this very emotional aspect to his voice. Anyways, I wanted to put that out there. That's what got me into ATEEZ, was the Goodbye Baby part, where he looks so like concentrated and strained, like he's really concentrating on the performance. It was absolutely beautiful. I really would have loved if ATEEZ could have performed more at award shows. So then we have ITZY's performance with Tala Tala. I'm not going to say much because I feel like the rest of the performances kind of follow the same trajectory, where I don't feel the most connection to them because I can't really hear them singing. But I will say I loved this whole graduation theme they had going on. Those sparkly gowns were adorable. So yeah, that's basically all I had to say. Leave down in the comments below what your favorite performances are, or if I missed any, I'm sure you'll let me know. We're having so much fun on Instagram. I'm going to start sharing memes that you guys create instead of comments. Well, I'll alternate. We'll see. So the meme of the day goes to this lovely individual. Thank you so much for creating this. It's absolutely beautiful. If you'd like to be featured in the next video, then tag me on Instagram or comment something funny that touches my heart, possibly. And you know what? Since you made it this far into the video, you might as well subscribe. Click on another one of my videos because I have enemies. Also, Happy New Year, I guess. What day are we? It's the 2nd? Are we the 2nd? Is it the 1st? Time isn't real. I would love it if you guys could let me know what kind of videos you'd like to see from me. I feel like things have been getting a little stagnant and I don't really know what to do. I don't know what you guys want. Like, I don't know if my content is getting boring. So I would like some guidance from like literally the people who matter the most, literally the people who I'm making this for. So if you have any suggestions, comments, critiques, I'm very open to that. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys next time. Bye. Second gen did it better.